Without good art, life would not be worth living. Without bad art, life would be worth living. Kicking a dead Star Wars. Star Wars is not dying, it is dead. First, I'll talk about how easily the franchise could have succeeded. Then I will talk about how Disney Star Wars is dead and how the fans now own Star Wars. Then a little about Episode 9. It did not have to be like this. I have a simple idea that would have worked for the Disney Star Wars franchise. First of all, the term franchise cannot be overused. Kathleen Kennedy and Rian Johnson and even J.J. Abrams did not approach this as a franchise. So my idea for the Star Wars franchise is a mediocre idea, a somewhat cheap copy of the Marvel formula. They should not have crammed everything into The Force Awakens. It is basically the same mistake DC made. So you start with a Poe movie, a movie showcasing only Poe, where we learn his character and see him in action. Then then you have an after-credit scene where Leia shows up and tells him she needs him for a big Star War that is coming. Then have a Finn movie where we get to see who Finn is. Then an after-credit scene where Han Solo approaches Finn and says, "We need you, kid. There's a big Star War coming." Then a Rey movie and an after-credit scene with Luke where he says, "Rey, you're my daughter," or whatever, and I need to train you for the big Star War and the dark side, and all that stuff's coming up and all that. This idea is not clever, but the fans would have been going nuts with hype for the franchise. Franchises run almost exclusively on hype, well, movie franchises anyway. Instead, Disney Star Wars killed all the hype. Instead, they introduced new characters who have no character and killed the only good characters. Before The Force Awakens came out, I knew there was going to be problems. When J.J. Abrams or somebody said that Luke, Han, and Leia would not be the main characters, I knew there was a slim chance of it succeeding. And for me, The Force Awakens did not succeed. The only hype I had for the franchise was for Luke, and I had a lot of hype for him. I went into The Last Jedi excited about seeing Luke and expecting him to die, and ready to not bother with any subsequent Star Wars movies. Bottom line for me is that Rey, Finn, and Poe cannot carry a Star Wars movie. The only chance they had for me was if they explained Rey, Ren, and Snoke's extreme Force powers by saying that the Force had mysteriously been amplified. Everyone, including Luke's, Force powers are 1,000 times stronger and getting stronger. Hence, the Force awakens. But J.J. Abrams is too stupid to have done that, and Rian Johnson is 100 times more stupid than J.J. Abrams. These guys are not strong with the Force. It's almost inverse, where Luke's powers, everybody's powers should have been getting stronger, but J.J. Abrams and Ryan's powers are getting weaker. And they're not smart enough to... Anyways, maybe they should have called it The Force Falls Asleep. So Star Wars is now dead. Star Wars YouTubers have made fortunes. They've been making money that would have gone to Disney Star Wars. Fans wanted to give the money to Disney Star Wars. But Disney Star Wars told the fans that they didn't want their money, essentially. The way Rian Johnson and critics are still trying to argue that Episode 8 was good is amazing to me. They aren't convincing or converting the fans, yet they still think they are, I suppose. I mean, one wonders who they are even writing to. Are the shills writing to Rian Johnson to make him feel better, or to Disney? Are they writing to each other? When will they give up? Will they still be praising The Last Jedi in 10 years? When will they understand that this is not a war that they can win? The war is over, in fact. The idea of blaming the customers for the failure of your product is defeatist. It could be like being terrible at a sport and then blaming the sport because you're terrible at it. The fans are not separate from Star Wars. In many ways, they are Star Wars. The idea of Disney apologizing or shaping up is irrelevant and a little too late. If you return something you stole, you're still a thief. We, the fans, we killed Disney Star Wars. It's dead. And Star Wars is ours. We own it. And it was always ours. But now we've kicked Disney out of Star Wars. They didn't play by the rules, so now they are not allowed to be a part of it anymore. It's over. People keep talking as though it is still alive, as though episode 9. The momentum is gone. Again, movie franchises run on hype. I can't say that enough times. This is why Marvel is doing so well. Even when Marvel puts out a subpar movie, the fans still enjoy it because Marvel has hype. Careers have been ruined by Disney Star Wars. Rian Johnson and Kathleen Kennedy's careers are not just in jeopardy, they're over. It is like they haven't gotten the memo yet. The bomb already went off. The shock wave just hasn't hit them yet. No actors or directors with reputations will want to go near Star Wars. I think other franchises have probably learned from Kathleen Kennedy not to attack fans. Some critics have probably learned not to lie to fans. And fans won't be as underestimated in the future. Again, Star Wars Episode 9 is already dead. I have a bit of a difficulty with many Star Wars YouTubers. I feel like they're kicking a dead horse. Many of them are very repetitive. They say the same thing over and over again. And they're all saying the same news every day. I'm all for making fun of Star Wars, Disney Star Wars, but I want to hear original thoughts about it. The fan backlash phenomenon has ended, and the revolution has happened. It's over. Now that the fans truly own Star Wars, it should be interesting to see what we do with it. Really, it's like when there's a revolution. Well, that's great. You took over. Now what are you going to do with it? Do you have any ideas? So I think that would be very interesting. An interesting thing to start thinking about. Regarding Episode 9, Disney's Star Wars, I'm predicting, is going to let a lot of spoilers slip in the next year to try to build hype. They'll spoil the whole movie if it builds hype. They will desperately do everything they can to bring some hype back, but the well is dry. The only interest in Episode 9 that anybody has is to see what a train wreck it is. Even the trailer for Episode 9 will be embarrassing, let alone the movie. A final thought. A friend of mine told me that his young niece loved The Last Jedi because she doesn't know the previous movies. She's just a kid. It occurs to me, though, that if young people love the new ones, if they become avid fans, they're going to want to watch the originals. And when they do, they will then be disillusioned by how the overall story does not add up. The new generation will not last long term because it is not a coherent story as a whole. Thanks for your time. If you want more videos from me, then please subscribe and hit like and comment.